And first up, our first keynote speaker of the day, Klaas Plas. He brings over 30 years of strawberry and soft fruit expertise to the table, guys. And if you do the math, that's at least 90 strawberry seasons. After graduating from the Agriculture University of Netherlands, he began help growers fine-tune their operations after launching Berry Consult in 2010. And that's Consult with a K, because when you're this good, you get to bend the spelling rules. Klaas has a deep love for plants, and from Romania to Ukraine, he helped communities grow not just better crops, but stronger farming futures. So please help me give a big round of applause for the very brilliant Klaas Plas.
To be honest, if I heard a former speech from Mr. Ishtak, I got a little bit humble. I thought I'm going to present something, but now I hear there are maybe hundreds of solutions. So where is my thing that I'm going to mention here, or my presentation? Let's see. First, gonna connect. Battery is a little bit low, so. There it is. Oh, sorry, you need an extra. Yeah. Yes, it's always a bit hard from what title do you give a strawberry or a presentation. I got back to the basics, and I think we are going back a little bit to the basics to see what's happening. So the question was from, okay, what are the most important things that we need to focus on here in Canada and Ontario to improve the yield of strawberries? But first, we already had a very nice warming up. I was looking at a film on the internet from James K.A. Smith, You Are What You Love. And You Are What You Love is about partly about the way how we make decisions. And you might want to look it up later on, but one of the things that he mentions from the main decisions you make are not by just pulling one and one together and it's two or something, but at the end of the day, after all the calculations, your guts, your heart is what makes your decisions. I think that's also, if you have a company, good to think about. We're coming back on this later on this point. Some numbers. Here we see some numbers in strawberry yields. And it's always a question from what is the yield? But I think to get a little bit an idea from where we are standing, I started with Word 2020. Word is Wageningen University, and they were not very active in strawberries. For a few years ago, they started with strawberries, but they're really good in plant physiology. And in one of the first years, they reached already 20 kilograms per square meter strawberries in 1 year. Excellent yield. I've never seen this yields before in just in practice, just because they know plant physiology. Oh, you can't see it very good. Here's supposed to stand Netherlands, and here's supposed to be Canada. Glasshouse fully equipped. To be honest, I don't know very good how it is in the Netherlands currently. What's the current optimum yield? What I do see in a glasshouse, just standard, now you're going in direction of, without LED, with CO2, you're going in direction of 12 kilograms per square meters. Tabletops, if you're a good growers, you're going in direction of 8 till 10. And that's a little bit what I hear here in Canada. 12, 16 for a greenhouse fully equipped. Glasshouse 10, tabletop 6 till 8. I don't know, you agree with that, or are there misses, big misses in this one? So everyone agrees? You don't need to agree. If you see this, there is still a long road to go. 20 kilogram is somehow the dot on the horizon. So there's something to do. If we compare then the Dutch circumstances, or one of the most important things, I think, is radiation. This is the radiation from Leamington. This is from this year. And this is the average radiation from the Netherlands. Well, we can have a look in the details. That's not important, I think. Here you see at the end an average radiation of 1,329 joules. And here we see an average radiation of 1,027. So there's a difference of about 30% joules in radiation. You know the 1% rule maybe from the glasshouse industry. 1% more radiation, more light, is 1% more yield. So that means there should be a potential higher yield here in Canada. And to be honest, since I've seen the springs here in Canada, what's going on here, it's unbelievable. High radiations, in the beginning quite cool temperatures. There's things going on here, and growth explosions I've never seen in my life all over the world where I'm coming. It's unbelievable. So from a growth perspective, there are possibilities here. There are. Oh yeah, this is what I just mentioned. The 1% more light is 1% more yield, and it's also valid for strawberries. We've checked it several times with growers, and they're looking around from what is going on. And yes, if we have a higher radiation, then the higher yield potential is there, and that's in the production, but also in the propagation. Leamington area, 30% more radiation, so that means a lot of more possibilities. But why are there those differences? And I've come back to 3 points in my presentation: LAI, vegetative generative balance, and plant material. And for me, a little bit interesting was, for a few weeks ago, I asked Jan or Jan asked me, I think, from where are you doing your presentation about? And he was going to talk about also plant material, but the disease part. So there was a common thing in it. Plant material is really important. It is really important. That's something we don't agree on everything that we think about in strawberries, but on this point we surely do agree. It's essential, plant material. I'll go further. Leaf area index. Everyone knows what leaf area index means. I'm going to explain it. Here you have maybe, what is it here, about 5 square meter of screen. And if you want to have a leaf area index of 1, then you have leaf areas, 1 screen, also 5 square meter of leaf area. If you want to have a leaf area index of 3, then you have, on this screen of 5 square meter, you have 15 square meter of leaf. So that's leaf area. And it's in fact from how much area do I have in my crop that intercepts the light and uses this light for energy. So it's in fact, as a matter of fact, just like in normal life, energy is one of the key things in the whole production. You will know it also from other crops, because that's the same. And here you see the example of 10,000 square meter of greenhouse. Now that means you want to have 30,000 square meter of leaf area. And that's all the leaf added together. Now we go a little bit further. What is the sense of it. Now, the interesting is that if you have just one sheet of leaf, then you never get 100% light interception, so never 100% use of the light. So that means they figured it out, and this is for the growth of a cucumber. I didn't have the actual one for, but the principle is the same. Here you see down the leaf area, and here you see the relative growth. Here you see a leaf area of 2, 2.5, 3 it's going up, 3.5 is around there. And also what you see very clearly that around 3, 3.5 for the cucumbers, that seems to be the best. I'm not a cucumber, I'm not gonna discuss this, but the system for strawberry is exactly the same, only at the peak here we have a 3. So that means the highest production, the highest photosynthesis and so on, the highest growth rate we see at a leaf area index of 3. And that means to get back, if you have this screen of 5 square meter, you don't need 10 square meter, you need 15 square meter of leaf area in there. And then think back to your own crops. What LAI do you have? Someone calculates here. Someone does? Who does calculate a LAI in the crop at home? Greenhouses. You do? The LAI, and that's not calculation based, what I see in general, I hope that we are on the level of 2. 2.5 is already a lot. And if you then get back, it's just basic physics. If this is the 3 and you're going back about this point, then you're losing about 20% of yield. And if you're sticking at only 1.5, for example, where I also see a lot of crops, then you're losing even more. So that means your potential yield is already going down just by leaf area. Your leaves are the production. That's where the energy is coming from in that plant. And afterwards in the plant, the whole plant process, it's all based on energy. Is there energy to support leaf growth? Is there energy to support root growth? Is there energy to support your flower induction and also your flower development? Here, for example, you see a crop with, I would say, it looks a quite good leaf area index. So there is leaf area. You can see the different levels. Here the top levels and below also. Looks good. This is a glass house in the Netherlands, in the northern part of the Netherlands. And everyone can recognize this is a totally different crop. Don't look at the berries, it's now just about the leaf area. Maybe it's not even 1. So what's the potential production of this crop? 1/3 of what is possible about it. I think in potential, yes, if you see it right now, yeah. If there are questions, please ask. I like a little bit of interaction. In the leaf area, we just start from, it's all based on energy, and if you don't have the energy, then I get back also to flower truss development, for example. If your leaf area is low, your flowers won't be able to develop. For example, today I also visited a grower last week or so. And if you see, for example, that you have a leaf area of 2, your energy demand is getting up because you get a big flush, then you will see that the heart of the plant, in the heart of the plant, you could get flower development, but because your energy is low in the plant, the flowers just simply abort. The same could happen, for example, if you have high temperatures, hot weather. That's also stress for plants, could cause abortion. It's also there a relation between energy consumption and energy production. It is really essential for all the processes, all the things that you are doing in your company. So try to get back to, okay, what's going on here with energy? You see bad rooting? It may be irrigation, but also check what's going on in your energy balance in the plant. And I don't have hard numbers on it, but you can see it back. If you had a big flush, if you don't have enough leaf area supporting that big flush, you will see browning of the roots in the plant. Another thing I think it's important is the balance vegetative generative. Now, and that means for me the balance between leaf area and the number of trusses. And it also gets back if you have a leaf area but a huge number of trusses, you get an imbalance in energy. So the plant cannot support all that production. Here, for example, it's a very clear picture, I think. Here you see just a few, here a flower, and a very nice, I would say, it's from how do you call it? Just a point of C2C, very nice developing plant. And here you see a lot of flower trusses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flower trusses, and hardly leaf area in there. Now you know, on the right, on the left hand for you, that's a generative plant, and here on the right hand, it's a vegetative plant. Here again, the same plant that we saw before, with a small leaf area index, a very generative one also. Now we're looking also not just on the leaf area that you see around here, now we're also looking to the strawberries that are growing. So you have the leaf area, a small leaf area, and you have a lot of strawberries growing, and everyone knows that this plant is in no way able to support all the strawberries in development, so that's demand part. The production part of this, so the leaves cannot support all the strawberries, and in the meantime also have the roots developing and also the flower trusses developing. Negative in energy, and that's really what's happening. If you're going to calculate, they really can be negative in energy, the plant. And this is another one, in the pictures before, I mentioned, okay, the leaf area looks nice. Yeah, and it does. Here you have the separate layers, but if you look also here at the number of flower trusses and the number of strawberry trusses, it's still a lot. And compared, and it's always on a picture, I've been looking for better pictures, but on a picture always hard to see, but if you compare the leaf area with the number of trusses here, yeah, it's still a generative crop. At the end, you're going to have a flush because the new flower induction will happen, but it will abort because of low energy in this plant. Here again, a very generative crop. You see low leaf area and a huge flush of strawberries. And this looks nice. And for this flush, it can be nice, but for your future, your line in the future, it's killing your plant. It's killing your future of the plants also, of your strawberries. Then we go on. This is a very simple grower, small one. And here you see, if you see those leaves, a lot of layers. So it's going, I think, for this area somewhere in the direction of 3. And there is a lot of fruits in there. And yes, there is really a lot of fruits. There could be maybe a few less, but it's quite good in balance, this one. I think from all the pictures that we've seen before, this is the nicest balanced crop. And what you will see in this case, so there is leaf area to support this fruit development. And yes, energy will be quite low, but the trusses, because there is energy, they will come out earlier. So your second flush coming afterwards is getting earlier. And this is another crop that looks nice balance. Here you see the number of trusses is there, but also leaf is there. So this looks nice. One minute. Oh, that went on. This is where we are. So here I wanted to show just a graph. I'm going to try to draw here on the screen. Oh, Go back. Now, first, gonna draw a normal balanced crop about. So the development of the crop, it could go up in this way. If you have a very generative crop, then it will start also, but the second one afterwards, it doesn't have enough energy, so it goes in this way. And at the end of the day, you're getting up there. And this is all because in this graph, you have the leaf area, you have the energy for the crop to develop. In this one, because you're first focused on your strawberries, you never get your leaf area done. It may be in here, you're going for leaf area 1.5 or so, or going in direction of 2. And that is why leaf area and plant balance are essential for growing here. I see at this moment here in Ontario, not one of the biggest mistakes is taken there, so that the leaf area and the plant balance are way off in order to get a good production. And the first flush you can get, but the second flush and afterwards you have problems with the development. So my conclusion in this thing is, if you first focus on the flowers and all the yield, you never get your end yield. Maybe the first flush, but never the end. If you want to have yield, you first need to have the energy source, and that's the leaf area. One example, I have a grower in the Netherlands, the north of the Netherlands, where I'm coming already for more or less 15 years. He's a small grower, but he knows the strawberries really, really good. And he's working on the edge. If I'm coming there, I used to see strawberries developing in a way that's, for me, it's too vegetative. But he's going for the top yields. He is growing big berries. One of the pictures was from him. Big berries, very good tasting berries because the energy is there. So that means also sugar in the strawberries and also high yields. And high yields, I mean, he usually gets 1.2 kilogram till almost 2 kilogram per plant on a short season. So this is tabletop. That means about 3 months harvest. Unbelievable. And the main thing in all this is leaf area, leaf area, leaf area. The nicest crops in general, the best harvested crops, best yields I see in crops where we have enough leaf area and a really good balance. And maybe a little bit too vegetative. But if you want to go there, you need a leaf wire. Without a leaf wire, all the leaves will drop down on your strawberries. It's a lot of work to harvest and diseases and so on. So you need to keep them separate, the leaves from your strawberries, otherwise it won't work.
June bearers, Klaas, or everberry?
This story is all for everbearers. So Juneberry is a totally different discussion because the interesting with Juneberry is the Juneberry had its production or its flower induction already in the autumn. So you can have 5, 6 trusses already in the autumn, and then the whole LNG balance is also another point. You don't need a new flower induction in the spring because you're just harvesting them once. So that's a completely different discussion. That's correct. Good question. Yes, please. Oh, I'm going there. I don't hear so very well.
So I just want to know, is there any difference in the taste of the strawberries if you first focus on the flowers? Because the yield will be less anyway.
Yeah, good question.
Difference in the taste?
Yeah, the taste of the strawberries, that's a good question. Yeah, if you focus on, I just mentioned that leaf area is the most important thing for energy in the plant. So that means it's like a solar panel. If you have the square meters, you get energy, you get electricity, and that's with the leaves also. And if you have first focus on the leaf area, and you have the leaf area, then you get and bigger strawberries, but also way more tasteful strawberries. They taste a lot better. There's a huge difference in that. From the same variety, I can have strawberries. I love eating strawberries. Sometimes I'm eating 1-2 kilograms or more per day, just the whole day on eating strawberries. It's nice. I love them, but there are sometimes from the same variety that you can have an excellent tasting strawberry, and another time you go to another grower with a totally different balance, and it's horrible. I just don't want to eat more of them. That's really just a matter of keep your crop in balance, and if you can keep it in balance, you can and reach high yields and big berries and a nice taste. It all connects together. And if you go over the first flush, you don't get your leaf area, and the end, you don't get your yield even. And taste is way off. Maybe this is a big one. It's too big to show. Maybe we can share the presentation afterwards or something. Is there a possibility? Okay. I will make a PDF of it so you can read it. So in this one, I think for a lot of glasshouse growers, it's quite normal. So this whole system, vegetative, generative growing, and all the things works also for strawberries. So one of the things is, for example, a nitrogen. If you get your plants, they need to grow. In general, they are a little bit generative at the beginning after planting. They need to grow. So give them a nice amount of nitrogen. Give them enough water. Get the feed level in the substrate from the beginning on a high level so you stimulate leaf development. And there are a lot of other things. Irrigation shorter and dry down. I think it's also somewhere in here. Dry down overnight and so on. So all those things can help you in getting a plant way more vegetative and getting it into the good balance. One of the things I normally advise growers, if you start, you have the substrate, you're gonna right in the beginning give a high EC. If you have the substrate, it's empty if it gets there. For example, coir, there's nothing in there, almost nothing. And you have a plant, you plant in there, and a lot of people say okay, it's small, it doesn't need to take up a lot of fertilizer, but it hardly has roots. It hardly can take up something. So right from the beginning on, high EC, try to get your EC and your feed on a good level in the substrate, and as soon as you reach that, you go to a normal level. So for example, in the first 1-2 weeks, 2.5 EC, you're there on a good level, then go down to a normal level. So the plant with the few roots that it has, it can take up the fertilizer, and it immediately starts with leaf development, and thus energy, and it can develop further. Oh yeah, as I mentioned already, sorry. Good plant material, essential. Good substrate. I like the coir the most. And especially therefore because coir is quite vegetative growing. So it has a good drainage possibility, it's wet enough, and it's easy growing. And a lot of other substrates that is a little bit harder growing.
What is the percentage of the pit and the ratio you would recommend, the substrate?
The ratio P to coir?
Yeah.
And normally I go for just 100% coir pith. But it depends.
We have the powder as well as the husk.
Can you repeat it?
No, in the cocoa bag, they have the ratio.
Yeah.
60-40, 70-30.
100% pith. It's a little bit straightforward, but 100% pith is what I like. If you have a very long season, you might want to have a little bit more structure at the end of the season. So you might want to add a little bit of chips. But normally, where I go, I don't advise to mix peat and coir. I just 100% coir pith.
100%.
Yeah, that's the basics.
In Ontario, I noticed like 50-50 they go with chip and 50% chip and 50% pit. That's what they go with.
Why?
That's what they like it.
I like it different. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have hard numbers on it. I don't have hard research on it, so that makes it a little bit harder. But what I just see in practice, that is with 100% pith, it's vegetative growing, easy vegetative growing, and you can get a plant really easy in balance. There is a disadvantage with 100% pith. Your EC feed accumulation in the substrate is a little bit harder. So you need to pay really attention with enough drain and take care that your EC doesn't get too high.
Terms of like aeration, like people think that, I mean, what is it, the 50-50 ratio, they get more aeration in the plant.
Can you repeat? You get more?
The 50-50 ratio, the grower think in Ontario, they have more aeration and more like water, like a circulation. That's what they believe.
Okay. What's for me, I mentioned the vegetative generative balance. I have a picture, 1 minute. It's just, I just added it to the end somewhere, I think. Yeah, this one. You see this one, this is coir. And for me, really the interesting in coir is here you see the root, here you see the hair roots, here you see the particles, and here you see the air. And that's, if you take a magnifier, here you have the magnifier, go out, in, especially in tray plants, if you have a nice tray plant, then you will see this structure if you stick it in coir. So what you see here, air, you see here the water with the food, with the fertilizer in it, and it grows so really easy. And what I have seen too often, if you use peat, for example, that the air part in the soil is not enough, so that it is closed. And for a plant, somewhere in the beginning, if I well recall it from university, they said 30% water, 30% air, and 30% substrate or something like that. It was a basic. I don't believe it totally, but it gives at least an idea of there is quite a lot of air needed in the substrate, and especially for strawberries. In the practice, if it's grown in soil, I see the best growing strawberries in coarse, sandy soil. Easy. There is air in there. Irrigation you can give, it's not a problem. And it's growing easily. If you get clayey soils, for example, then all those pores are way smaller. You get too much water in there. You get oxygen deficiency in the zone. Hair roots are dying. Yellowing of the leaves and so on. So that's all kinds of problems. And that's something what with a good coir, I don't see. We can over-irrigate also, of course, with coir pith.
You recommend like 100% like a pith instead of like no chip in the bag.
Chips, if you have a season like here, 10 months, for example, I can imagine that something in the range of 10-20% chips will help you in a bit more drainage, especially a little bit more air at the end of the season. For the first half of the season, 100% would do. For example, if you have a tabletop growing and you're only for 6, 7, 8 months in there, then 100% pith will do excellently. If you have a long season with about 10, 12 months, then 10-20% pith will do, yes.
10 to 20%.
I'm going back. How much time do I have left? Sorry.
5 more minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, I have to speed up a bit. Oh. Next point is plant material. What do you buy if you buy plant material? And I've divided it up. Maybe there are more things, especially after the presentation from Mr. Ishtak. I got only 2 or 3 things. Genetics, time, and health. Genetics is a strawberry. Time is you have a grower, a plant propagator. You cannot start with just sticking the tips, or you could do it physically in your substrate and start up with the whole thing. No, you have a propagator who is doing that for you. So that means you're buying time from the propagator. Maybe he propagates it already for 8 weeks about. So that means you're buying this time from the propagator. Otherwise, you would lose in that whole year 8 weeks of production. And the other thing is health. but Jan will take that part. I don't go there. Here you see 3 types of plant material. Here you see a plant, 1 truss, 1 crown. Here you see a plant, nice rooted, 1, 2, 3, about 4 crowns, flower trusses about this high. And here you see another plant, about 3, 4 trusses, 3, 4 crowns, and there was somewhere 1 flower truss in here. And this is what I'm talking about. This is the small plant. From here to there, for example, there can be a difference from 4 till 6 weeks already in harvest period. So if you plant this whole plant needs to develop. That plant, you already have a big developed plant. And that is what you are buying from a propagator. You're not buying just genetics. You're not just buying a strawberry plant. You're buying time also. So that means if you have a bigger balanced plant, then you can gain about 4 till 6 weeks in production. And that's a lot of money. Sometimes I see plants, for example, just this spring in the Netherlands, smaller plants, first flush, 200 grams. Bigger plants, my son is doing consultancy at a company in Utrecht, first flush, 600 grams. And a nice balance afterwards. So that means he had a plant that almost looks like this and had a good balance. And early and good balance. Now I'm going. We had this one, yeah. I'm going to draw a little bit again. Graph. This is the normal development that you want to see. If you have a small plant, then you start about in this location. If you have a big plant, you may start about in this location. This is what's happening if you have a good plant. And that means, how does a plant need to look like? You want to have crowns, 3, 4 crowns. You want to have not too many flower trusses, like we mentioned before, not too generative, and then it can start up. And the problem afterwards is every mistake you make, it's going this way, and then starts up again. And again a mistake, and it's going up that again. That's another point, but that's, for example, if you make a mistake in irrigation, it's going this way. You have a lower yield. You make next time a mistake in your climate control, it's again this one, it's going there, and so on. So that means all the mistakes add up, and they're only negative. The potential is there if you have a good plant material. Every mistake is a lower yield. Fresh plant. This is something I would love to see. This is a fresh plant. Here you see 3, 4 crowns, a small truss there. And you have a nice yield potential in your crop. And if you have this, it can be a difference between win or loss. If you have a bad plant compared to this one, for example, this may even cost $2, and it's still interesting. And there are also plants on the market that may give you $1 and they're still a loss. The end. James K. Smith, you are what you love. What is the things that you decide on? Why do you decide? How do you decide? What's important for you? That's my end of the presentation.